Hello, everybody, and welcome to your very first video lesson. So as I've told you before, you are going to watch one of these videos every single night. This is going to be your homework. You will watch the video and fill out your notes worksheet as you go along through it with me. So you should have a sheet of notes that looks exactly like this. It is available on Google Classroom. You're going to fill it out and then submit it, and that will count as a grade, okay? So I have downloaded this form as a PDF so I can write on it. But if you are doing this on the computer or on your phone and just want to type on the document in Google Drive, it is perfectly fine as well. So do whatever is easiest for you. All right, let's get started. So the very first thing that you're going to see in every single lesson is something called an aim. All right, and that aim is basically going to be our lesson's purpose or mission. Okay, so today's aim, today's mission, is going to be how do scientists pose questions, seek answers, and develop solutions? So by the end of today's lesson, you should be on your way to being able to answer that question. All right, now the second thing you'll see is something called a do now. Now, normally this do now would be the very first question that you sit down and answer as soon as you get into the classroom. Obviously, it's going to look a little bit different this year because you're watching a video instead of sitting here in the classroom. But what I want you guys to do is actually pause this video and take about a minute to answer this question on your own. And then when you're done answering that question, press play and we'll go over it together. Okay, so the question that you are answering is, describe a time when you conducted an experiment. All right, as soon as you have written down your answer, go ahead and follow along with me. So I'm going to tell you about a time when I conducted an experiment when I was about your age. So when I was in high school, I realized that whenever I used a certain face wash and whenever I used a certain sunscreen, I got kind of a rash all over my body. I had an allergic reaction to it, and I wasn't sure what I was allergic to. So I decided to do my own allergy test. You know, I probably should have gone to the doctor and had an allergy test done for me, but I was very stubborn and I wanted to figure it out myself. So I essentially did this allergy skin test right here on myself. So what I did was I got a bunch of different skin products, including the ones that I knew I had a reaction to, and I lined them up all along my arm. And then after a few hours, I looked down at my arm and I was able to see which products caused me to have an allergic reaction and which didn't. And then by narrowing down that list to the ones that did cause me to have an allergic reaction, I was able to figure out what was the common ingredient, or which were the common ingredients. And using that, I was able to figure out that I'm actually allergic to salicylic and benzoic acid. Now, those ingredient names aren't important, but what is important is that I conducted an experiment, okay? So I actually did these three things. I posed a question, and that question was, what am I allergic to? I sought answers, so I did my experiment to figure out what I was allergic to. And then using that information, I developed a solution. So now my solution is I know to avoid products that have those two ingredients, okay? Now, there were countless numbers of kinds of experiments that you could have done yourself. It didn't have to be something formal like this, but I'm very confident that you guys have done experiments throughout your life, okay? You have posed questions, sought answers, and developed solutions. Okay, so part of conducting an experiment is finding observations and inferences. Okay, so we're actually going to do that right now. We're going to look at this picture and we're going to write down some observations that we have and some inferences we can make because of that. So you might be wondering, well, what's the difference between observations and inferences? So I'm here to tell you that observations, okay, or something that you observe, are going to be made using your five senses. Okay, so this can be something that you hear, something that you see, something that you touch, etc. But this is something that you can physically observe, okay? Now, inferences, or something that you can infer, are essentially interpretations you make with your mind about those observations. Okay, so observations are something that you can see, something that you can hear, and inferences are basically how you make sense of that information. Okay, so how you make sense of information. All right, so looking at this picture, we can make a few observations, okay? We can observe, we can see that there is a car that's flipped upside down. So I can see that the car is flipped. That's something that I can observe, but what can I infer using that information? Well, I can infer that there was a car crash. Or car accident. Okay. I do have really bad handwriting, as you can see. So if there's ever anything that you can't make sense of, let me know and I'll rewrite it, okay? All right, another observation. I can see that the car is next to a cliff. So what can I infer based on that? Well, maybe the car fell off of the cliff. Okay, another observation I can make, something that I can see, is that there is trash on the ground. And I can infer based on that statement that that trash came from inside the car. All right, and let's make one more observation. I can also observe that there are a lot of cars behind this crash. So other cars behind crash. So what can I infer based on that? Well, maybe heavy traffic caused this accident. All right. So once again, observations are something that you can make using your five senses. And inferences are interpretations you make based on those observations. Okay. So we're going to move now on to vocabulary, where it's actually summarized what I just said. So 2 words that you absolutely need to know are observations and inferences. And as we just figured out, observations involve the use of one or more of your 5 senses. And this is going to be a noting and recording of facts. All of these observations are factually true. They're things that we see happening, okay? And inferences are going to be logical interpretations made based upon prior knowledge and experience. And those are based upon your observations. So all of these inferences are interpretations of those observations. I don't know for sure that these things happen, but based on prior experiences and based on my observations, I can infer that's what happened, okay? So let's do another example. Let's say that I'm out hiking and I come across this lovely little footprint in the woods. Oh Lord, an ugly foot. So what is an observation I can make about that footprint? Well, I can see, right, if using one of my senses, I can see that there are 5 toes. See that footprint has 5 toes. Well, what can I infer from that observation? Well, I can infer that an animal, or maybe even a human, made that footprint. Okay, I don't know for sure, that an animal or a human made that footprint, but I'm going to infer based on my knowledge of feet and based on my observations that that footprint was caused by an animal, okay? Now we're going to do a few more examples of observations and inferences. So please make sure you're following along with these on your notes, okay? All right, so here we've got another picture. I see one observation I can make. Okay, I can also see that his eyes are widened. So what are some inferences I can make based on those observations? Well, because I see him biting his fingernails and his eyes are widened, I can infer that whatever he's seeing on the computer is making him scared or nervous. Okay, so the computer image, what he sees on the computer is making him nervous or scared. All right, here's another example. Observations, remember something that you see. So I see that these kids, the 3 kids and a dog, are wearing costumes. So what am I going to infer based on that knowledge? Well, based on my prior knowledge and experience, I'm going to assume or infer that it's Halloween. So the kids are dressed up for Halloween. And it looks like they're trick-or-treating. So once again, I don't know for sure that it's Halloween, but that is an inference I'm making based on my observations. All right, and one more picture, observations about this. Well, I can see that the woman is holding a camera. I see that the man is holding a suitcase. And I see this couple skipping. So what are some inferences I can make based on those observations? Well, I can infer that this couple is happy because do you know anyone who skips around if they're mad? Okay, so I'm going to infer that the couple is happy. And finally, I'm also going to infer that this couple is on vacation. All right, because I see that suitcase and because I see a camera, I'm going to infer that they're going somewhere special. All right. Now, please write down any questions you had about today's lesson, and I will be sure to answer those questions in tomorrow's meeting. But one final thing that I need you guys to do, every single day after you've completed this notes worksheet, you're going to see something called an exit ticket at the bottom. This is going to be how I track your understanding of today's lesson. So what you'll do when you're done with the lesson is you will actually click on this link. So you should be able to access this on a computer. You can access this on a phone. Hold on, this doesn't want to work. Wait for it. There it is. All right, you're going to open that link and it will bring you to the day's exit ticket. You will then fill in your name, fill in teacher last name, so you'll put Collins. Okay, and then you will answer these 3 questions. Okay, this is going to count as your record of understanding for this lesson to make sure that there's nothing I need to reteach for the class, okay? So make sure that you submit this ASAP. You have to submit it before you come to class tomorrow. And if you have any questions about the lesson, please write them down and I will answer them. All right, that is all I've got for you guys today. So I'm signing off. Have a wonderful afternoon and I will see you guys tomorrow.